Welcome to the Profit Talk Show. In this show, we're going to explore strategies to help you maximize profits in your business while scaling and creating the lifestyle that you want as an entrepreneur. I am your host, Susanne Mariga. I am a certified public accountant, a certified profit first professional, and a certified tax coach. And today we're going to talk about strategies to help you maximize profits in your business. Hello, profit first entrepreneurs and thought leaders. I am so excited today. We have a special guest. Her name is Diane Strand, and Diane is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, marketer, speaker, and coach who works with entrepreneurs who helps them turn their creative passions into profitable businesses. And she is actually the owner of her own business, which is called JDS Productions, which is a seven-figure media company that specializes in engaging video content for organizations, people, and products. She is going to be releasing a book later on this year, and it's called The Creativepreneur, which is a book about critical entrepreneurial steps for creating a business concept, establishing your entity, working through challenges to level up, and how to leverage your money and marketing for success. Diane has been on the production team for well-known shows that include General Hospital, Friends, the Walt Disney Company, as well as she's the co-founder of JDS Actor Studios, which has launched 100 plus mainstream actors and producers as Corinne Messiah and Sierra Swartz. So please join me in welcoming Diane Strands to our platform. Today, we're going to talk about leverage, market, and scale with confidence and creativity. And particularly, we're going to be talking to you guys that are interested in using video to actually increase your market share. So please join me in welcoming Diane Strand to our platform. Hi, Diane. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So first of all, we always love to get the backstory, like what got you interested in video production and working with entrepreneurs to help them really flex their creative muscle.
Well, they always say you can't connect your dots looking forward. You have to look back. And, all of my dots really lead me exactly to where I am. And every milestone along the way that I've done, my real passion is about the arts. It's all about how you use the tools of the arts to be able to leverage, market, scale, build confidence, creativity. And my first dot really shows up in second grade when I wanted to play Betsy Ross in the school play. And I had all the naysayers, parents, teachers who said, maybe you shouldn't try because I couldn't read. It turns out I'm dyslexic and, I was struggling in school and I couldn't read, but something also kicked in early, and that's called tenacity. And when someone tells me I can't do something, I just kind of say, watch me. And somehow I figured it out and I played Betsy Ross in that school play. And then I went on to sell the most candy in the school. So there was my little entrepreneurial spirit, and it continued to every dot along the way in school, keep me connected, because school was a huge challenge for me until I wanted to learn, and then going back and getting bachelor's degrees. But it was always about the arts that pushed me to further my education, kept me connected, and using the tools from the arts that allowed me to be successful, and then I worked in Hollywood. I started as an actor, and then I moved, my entrepreneurial spirit pushed me into producing and writing and directing because my first thought was, oh, we'll get discovered. I'll put us all on stage and invite the directors and the producers to the show. Not exactly how it happened, but it kind of did that way because that's how I fell in love with producing and directing and writing, and I found my voice that way. And then I started moving on and showing the power of video, whether you're making somebody laugh, you're informing them, you're educating them, you're making them feel something, is the most powerful feeling, and it just ignites me. And when I can see the impact it makes, I want everyone to use video.
I love it. And what an opportunity there is for entrepreneurs to bring their brand to life, right? And it doesn't matter what type of business you are, whether you're a doctor's office or a manufacturing company, there's something about, I read in a stat that millennials prefer to buy from a person's name versus just a brand name. And to be able to use video for your buyers to connect with who you are, who your team is, it's such an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, we do business with people we know, like, and trust, right? And how more are you going to trust them than when you can kind of look eye to eye? And even if that's through a camera lens or a screen, you feel like you know them. How many, we feel like we're best friends with celebrities, right? Because they come into our living room, we're sitting with them. Well, a video does the same thing. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 1,000,000 words that you can say. You can get your message out there so quickly and succinctly in putting a story, because that's what we all need to be, as storytellers, and we need to be our own brand. So when you can bring your story and yourself into your brand and put it out there, people are going to know you, they're going to like you, they're going to trust you, your phone's going to ring.
I love it. I love it. Now, first of all, let's talk about, video, and let's talk about what keeps people back from showing up on camera or becoming someone that people know.
Well, it's really called fear. I mean, that is what it's called, and I always say, don't do it fearless. Do it fearless. You just need to trust yourself a little bit more than you don't. It's about the 51% rule that you need to bring that forward. And then you will start building your confidence as you go along. It's like depositing little coins into the confidence bank. If you tell yourself, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to go live on social media, or I'm going to go record this video, and you do it, it's okay if it sucked. You can do it again, right? But you did it, you're going to build your confidence. So the next time you go on camera, you're going to be a little stronger. The more you do, the more you do. You just have to put yourself out there and step outside that comfort zone and trust yourself. I love the pack your own parachute rule, because that's how you trust Steve Harvey's jump. If you packed your parachute, when you jump, it's going to open. You trust yourself. You believe in yourself. Confidence is portable. If you are confident in other places, borrow it to bring it onto camera and talk to it like you're talking to somebody in your living room. Just share your story and then get an editor.
I love that, get an editor. That's a really good thought there. I know one of the things that people talk about is when they show up on camera, I even go through this. You just don't, it's almost like camera shy. You forget what you were going to say. You forget your message. You forget, like, what should I even talk about, right? Even those ideas. So what should someone who is searching for ideas, how do you know what to even speak about?
Well, pull it from your own life. That is really the best place. It's going back to that know, like, and trust. Find your story. This is where you have to connect your passion to your purpose. And when those two things are in alignment, I have an authority growth framework that I work with that really takes you through 4 pillars so that you can build that confidence and you can step outside the comfort zone, because it has to be a consistent thing that you keep doing. And your message gets stronger. The more you speak it, the more you know it. Talking from this dyslexic girl, I couldn't read lines really well to memorize them. I had to find other ways. And I found if I talked it first way back when, I'm dating myself, into a tape recorder so then I could listen to myself. But now we've got these handy dandy little things, and it's our marketing. It's a recorder. Talk into it, record it right into Google Doc. You can edit it later. Chat GPT, work smarter, not harder. Use tools today with AI that can help you craft your message, find your avatar, speak to them. That's the most important thing, is when you're speaking authentically and you start getting confident in what it is you do, finding your expertise, pulling from your own life and in the things that you've done. That's the content you start sharing. That's how you start talking about what you do. That's how you start sharing. And that's how we connect with you, is when you share it and you're passionate about it. And we see that. we want more of that. And so we keep coming back to you for more.
I love it. I love it. Now you said there was 4 pillars. Tell me about those 4 pillars and what that represents.
Okay, sure. Well, you've got passion and purpose. Got to have those in line. That gets your mindset all set with your mission and your clarity, and then you got to position yourself with the authority, your brand, your messaging. You got to speak it, you got to share it, you got to write it, you got to get it on your website. It's got to be out there in your social media. It's got to be things that just kind of start rolling off your tongue. Like today, I've got my Starbucks right here, right? And the person, the lady at the window, she asked me, "Are you off to work today?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." And then she said, "Well, what do you do? Can you explain yourself in 30 seconds to the Starbucks lady so she understands it?" Or that is knowing your messaging. And by my end of my 30 seconds, she's like, "Can I find you on Instagram?" It was just like I connected with somebody. I was real. It was how you do it. And that's where you get into that position for authority and credibility, where they start really believing in you. And then you've got to promote with purpose. That's number 3, right? It has to have your purpose attached to it. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why should anybody care? Why do they want to know this? Are you solving a problem? Is there a purpose behind it? Or are you just like, "Hey, I've got something to sell out here. Come look at me," right? People are going to be like, "Yep, scroll," right? So you've got to connect. You've got to make that connection. And then the fourth one is a profitable plan. You have to have a profitable plan. We're in this to build wealth. It's not about cash flow. Cash flow comes and goes, and impact. What defines your success? Because like now I kind of figure I'm in my legacy stage, again, there I go dating myself, but that's kind of where I'm at. It's more about the impact, not yes, we all have to put food on the table. I still have 3 kids and, one in college, one going to college, of course, but it really is about building the wealth, not the cash flow, making the impact, making sure there's a plan. So, I'm not feast to famine anymore. I can be kind of up here and riding the wave higher, enjoying the ride a little bit more. And, those are the 4 pillars.
I love it. I love it. You know, tell me about the bad days
Oh,
when you've got content, you need to be on camera, but it's just a bad day, bad hair day, bad skin day, bad traffic day. How do you handle being on camera on the bad days?
well, gratitude. You got to get back to gratitude. Sometimes I start with the simple things. Bad days, bad days. They happen, but you still have to move forward. We can't not. What is our option to just curl up and die? That's the truth. If you're not growing and living and stepping outside that comfort zone, then it's just not, you're not living. You know, Bad hair days, we all have them. Talk about it. Be real. I've been on camera lots of time. I don't know how much you can tell here, but I kind of have this lavendery color hair that changes colors all the time. It gets very frizzy. It does things, but I always tell people, when you're here, I have a studio. You come in here, be prepared to be on camera. It could be any day. Get grateful. That's pen. I'm grateful for a pen. Okay, I've got a piece of paper. Let me start writing things down. Get those feelings out. Shake it out. We have exercises that you have to work with. Get in a different headspace. That's where confidence is portable. Take it from somewhere else. I've done this before. I can do it again. So you can move forward. And then if it's about you, then you're not in it for the right reasons, right? So you have to look at, if you're supposed to be on camera today, it's because you're supposed to do something that's going to impact somebody else. And that's the bottom line. It's not about you. It's not about your hair. It's not about, the fact that, you got a pimple, or, you broke out. It happens. It happens to all of us. So that's where you have to be real and make up and get in a different headspace, and you still are you. And, you know, you're going to gain 10 pounds, you're going to lose 10 pounds, or not lose 10 pounds and gain 10 more. I've been there. I've done it. I love the Zoom picture. You don't see my whole body, but at the same time, I have a whole body and I let people see it, and I'm not super always comfortable with it, but I'm honest about it and I work on it. That's who we are and that's how people connect with us.
I love it. I love it. Now, Diane, have you ever met anyone that should not be on camera?
No, I mean that's my short answer is no. The only person I would say who doesn't need to be on camera is if you don't have anything to share. If it's all about you, and we see a lot of people. There are a lot of people on camera who shouldn't be on camera in that sense, and that's because it's all about them. So this is where those that aren't on camera don't say I shouldn't be. I hate people that say, I have a face for radio. you know, don't talk about yourself that way, right? If you have a voice, use your voice and go out there and be heard. If you're not comfortable on camera, there are lots of things you can do to move around that in today's world, especially. Build yourself an avatar, come out there, come out so you feel good about yourself. I don't want to put anyone out there who's like, I've had that. Don't put that camera on me right now. I'm not camera ready, but it's in the mind, it's in your mindset. And if you're sharing to impact, people are listening. It's not what you said. Maya Angelou said it best. It's not what you said. It's not who said it. It's who made you feel what, right? It's how it
Right.
made you feel. That's really what it's
Exactly.
about. And if you're talking from your heart and with your feelings and those kinds of things, nobody's paying attention to the fact that, okay, there you go, right? It doesn't matter.
I love it. I love it. For you guys that are listening on, Diane just took a strand of her hair and moved it out of the way to make the point. So my next question is with that is you talked about video editor. Let's talk about the magic of a video editor and why is that necessary?
Well, it's always good to edit yourself, number one, because we try and say too much because we're not sure that we're being seen or being heard correctly. So I'm an over communicator. So having an editor for me is very good. Having someone else be able to help you be a little bit more objective is always good too. I work best with my partner in life and business, Scott Strand, for the past 35 plus years. He's not only my life partner, he's my business partner, but he's been my editor many times, sitting behind the camera as well as sitting behind the editing machine. But being able to put content together, having support and having a team around you keeps you real, keeps you authentic, keeps you human. You can't just be the sole person. You have to have objectivity around you. You have to have other people's input. You have to be able to read body language. It's very important. You can't live behind a computer screen. You can't live in your own solo world. So having an editor and having someone with the skills is really important because we can't do it all. And if you're trying to do it all, you're running on that hamster wheel and you're going to burn out. So you've got to have a team. You've got to have a support, and having an editor to be able to do some of the technical things that an entrepreneur needs, because even my husband, who was an editor and sat many of hours behind a computer editing all different kinds of things, he's stepped more into his entrepreneur creativepreneur self, and he has an editor now. Everybody needs an editor, to do those things, because you just can't do it yourself even when you have the skills. It doesn't matter what it is. If you are the CPA, you shouldn't be doing your own books. You need somebody there to have that objective person there in there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, as a CPA, your time is spent better doing things other than books too
Right.
with that. Now, I'm curious when people start creating videos, right? We talked about, obviously you've got an entire production team. Is that where someone should start is, let's just get real. In this day and age, Facebook is busy, Instagram is even busier, and you have to be able to stop the scroll. How important is it to have that production team behind you versus that person that just turns on the phone and starts to record?
I think it depends on where you're at, what level you're at, and what you need as you go through it. I don't think somebody who is in a startup, emerging kind of business that you need to have everything polished to the T. As you start moving on and growing and leveraging yourself, you definitely need more polish and professionalism to you to start getting your message because now you're talking to a different audience, right? You have to be aware as your audience starts to change, but you have to start somewhere. Start before you're ready and just go and start. But, there are tips, you need to be in the right communities so you can learn. It doesn't mean just because you're using your phone that you don't make good video. You still need to make good video, no headroom, no audio, no lighting, no, framing how you look. It would be something if I moved myself to the very bottom of the frame and you could see me from the chin up. That's not flattering for anybody, so don't put yourself on social media and do that. Try and get where you feel like you can be confident with yourself. And then start to move up and build a team around you. And that way you can start being smarter and not working harder as people start to do it. And you'll be like, am I right in the frame? To make sure whoever's holding that phone for you now has you positioned right. To then the person who comes in with the camera, and now you're a little bit more high def, and now they can throw in some B-roll. That starts to get really important because I can tell you if you're jump cutting all over the place, you're going to lose your audience. They're going to scroll by. But I'm going to take it back to it's about the messaging, right? It's not about the picture. It's about the message. The message has to be clear. Hire yourself a copywriter before you hire yourself a videographer, if that's the case. And I'm the videographer. I'm also the copy editor too. But, in that sense, it's much more important to get your message clear and then work on how they see you and what you put with.
I love that, and that's a great topic for conversation too. Continuing on. So, when we think about copy editing, we think about creating copy, and like you talked about, the message is extremely important. And I think a lot of times people think, when I show up on camera, I need to just talk from my heart. I need to just say, and I think that's where that camera shy, that cat caught in the headlights comes out, is when you don't have copy. Let's talk about the best way to generate copy. What is the best way to generate your message and make sure that message is going to come across clearly?
Well, today's world, we have a great tool. It's called ChatGPT, and that's going to help you. So that's a great place to start if you are completely lost in pulling it out. Just start talking about what it is you do and ask ChatGPT to put it into a social media script, a text message, a website. Tell it what you want it to be, prompt it correctly, and then give it all your brain dump and it will start making sense out of it. But, the key thing is you got to hook them. What are you going to hook them with? What are you doing? What gets them to stop to pay attention? And then you got to solve a problem. What is your problem that you're solving? Because if I can't identify with the problem, then your solution isn't going to matter to me, right? I may just agree with you, but if I can't identify with a problem, I'll be like, yep, that's a great solution. And I'll go on because I agree with you. But if I didn't know what the problem was, or I don't feel like I have that problem, I'm not coming to you for the solution. So hook them. What problem are you solving? Then tell me a quick solution to it, and then give me a call to action. Don't stop there. If you don't tell me what to do with anything, I'd be like, oh, cool, thanks. Next, right? So give me a call to action. So those are kind of your real principles that you need to go with. Hook, what problem are you solving? Give me a quick solve to it, and then call me to action to do something. And then that is your message. And then use, again, tools to help you. Dump your brain. Dump. 1,500 words into Chat GPT and say, turn this into a 30-second script, please. And it will do it for you. And it will pull out those important things. And if you don't like it, have it redo it for you. And then, but tell it hook, problem, solution, call to action.
I love that. So are they using teleprompters or how are they reading from these scripts?
Well, there are. You can put teleprompter apps on your phone. You can put it on your computer. You can get a real teleprompter if you're working with a camera, but it's 30 seconds. Work a little harder. Say it 15 times. You'll start, it's your message. It's your story. If you start to live it, you'll learn it, right? Notes are okay. I mean, the minute you ask me for my 4 pillars, I looked at my piece of paper and I went, what are those? Right? It's okay. The world will forgive you if you look a little bit. I'm not reading, I don't need to read it because I created the pillars. I know what they are. I know what they mean, but I want to be succinct. So it's okay that I went promotion with purpose, right? Instead of saying it's purpose with alignment. Oh, wait, no, that's, because they're close, you get catchy with these things. So say it 10 times. It's your message. This is how you get more confident. This is how you grow. And then it's there in front of you, but you don't have to read it. You can glance at it and then move forward, right? That's the answer.
And I love that because specifically for businesses that are scaling, that are 7 to 9 figure businesses, it's showing up and how you show up. And so what Diane is saying is it's going to take a little effort, right? It's going to be creating your content, putting in thought behind it. Like she said, what's the problem my audience is dealing with? What's the message I want to convey and how do we fix it? And maybe creating a script for that and maybe even memorizing it if it's a short message. So to generate your output is going to generate the work that you put behind it.
Absolutely. Yes. It's being a creativepreneur, as I like to say, an entrepreneur, a business owner, it is a lot of hard work, but I also know that my best days are the best days in the whole world. My worst days are can be hard, tough, just disappointing days. But I wouldn't trade them for my best days when I was working for somebody else. Because now my dream that I get to have some direction with, I get to realize, I get to evaluate, I get to take action on, creates this amazing momentum that turns the dream into a reality. And then my passion is totally aligned with my purpose, which brings me joy. The long, hard days, you know, they're worth it. They made an impact. They changed somebody's life. I did life on my terms, I made I schedule my day, right? It's my terms. So that's the gratefulness. And that's where you have to get back to. And that's what makes you move on.
I love that, and it's something that people don't talk about. You hear the influencers talking about turning on your phone, doing a selfie cam, but the reality is good content takes work. And that's a message that we do need to stress because people are like, I'm putting out videos, I'm putting out social media content, and I'm not getting the followers, or they're putting out YouTube videos, and the reality is good content takes work.
And a plan. You can't just post to the void, right? You can't just throw it all out there because if there's no plan behind it, then your audience is confused, and a confused audience does not buy. They might keep coming back going, I like her. She's good on camera. She's fun to watch. I learned something, always great content, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it. Right. So that's, they're not converting. If you're not converting it, and then what is your goal? Is your goal to get the follower? Is your goal to get the sale? Is your goal to just have them hear the message? So that's where defining your success and, if you don't know what the success looks like, you can't build the plan to get there. You don't have to know all the steps because the steps start to reveal themselves along the way, but you've got to have a plan. You got to see the goal. You've got to know where you are and you've got to take action, and get clear. The clearer you get, the clearer your audience will be to be like, yeah, oh, I got to go back and talk to Diane. She had that answer. She knows what clarity means, right? And so I'm going to go get that because if my audience was confused, they'd be like, well, Diane's really cool, but I get a little confused after I talk to her. Maybe I need to find clarity from somebody else, right?
Exactly. And we don't want any confused audiences. Now, Diane, let's talk about putting together the team. And I know we talked about different stages, different phases, different team. Let's talk about the different phases of a team and how do we put the right people together to get those optimal results?
Well, depending on where you are, right? As you're starting out, you may be by yourself, but then reach into the schools, get an intern. That's a best way to get help. And it'll also help you find your own clarity because you'll have to start teaching what it is that you do and showing people and what's important, right? So start with an intern. That's free labor, as you're just starting out. Then you might move into a VA. That's going to be your next step as you start looking for some virtual remote help to bring in, or a part timer if you're a brick and mortar and you need to start bringing in some things to delegate. Take some of those things that are just sucking some of your time away so you can focus on some bigger things. If you're the leader, you're the visionary, you need to have time to vision and to create and to do and to be in that space. So you have to drop some of the mundane kind of busy work that keeps you busy. So you start to build that team, whether it's bringing someone in part time or getting a virtual assistant. Some people may have 3 or 4 virtual assistants that come around, right? That you might need for different areas. Or then you start going to do, now you're starting to hire people around you, whether you need in-person staff or you need remote staff. I have a little bit of both. I have people who work in the Philippines and I have people who are showing up to work coming in the building right now where I'm at. So as people who are in Canada, people who are 50 minutes away and they get a remote day and they just don't have to drive to the studio today. And then people in my backyard as you start to build, and a team. So today I'm grateful. I've got 12 employees, you know, uh, and then I've probably got 3 that are remote around the world. And then it's myself and my husband. My kids work for me, so it's a family affair.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I imagine. So when you talk about VA, are you talking about someone that edits videos or like what is their role in this?
All of the above. A VA
Okay.
can be someone who's gonna help you with your social media, someone who's going to help you with, video editing, somebody who is going to help you with copywriting. You could have somebody who might help you with more of the mundane stuff, like you need to start handing off paperwork, doing blogs, connecting your website. You should have a tool like High Level, so it's your CRM, your website, your blog, your funnels, your e-commerce. Gosh, I can think really fast. Your e-commerce is putting all of the things together under one roof starts to simplify things. These are tools so you can work smarter, not harder, and bringing in the tech help to help you with those things.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, that's interesting. I never thought about having a VA to do copywriting, to actually write scripts. That's very
Absolutely.
interesting.
Once they start to learn your message, and they can bring you scripts, you need a calendar, you need a plan, if you're going to record them. And, at this point, I talk a lot into my phone and then I pass it off and then it comes back to me and then I read it and then I can edit it and I can change it. You know, in the beginning, I was doing all the writing. Now I can just, let loose the thoughts in my brain, whether I'm dumping it into Chat GPT, which, Chat knows me pretty well. You can come up with a cute little nickname, little Chappy, and knows you really well and becomes your friend. And, I can jump from topic to topic and it'll spit out information and I can just dump into it. I have, talent that now I have developed around me that I can share my thoughts and they can get on the vision ride with me.
Oh, wow. That's true production there.
It's a process. And, that's where I also say, you know, going back to when you say what stops people, and I say it's fear. Fear tricks us, right? Fear tells us we're not ready. We don't have all the things in place. I don't have this. I need this. I need a VA. I'm overwhelmed. That's fear. That's fear that is, taking control. I use an analogy, put it into the back seat. You take control of the car, you drive, you control the radio, the air conditioning, the heater. You're in control. That's what you have to do with fear. Stick it in the back seat. We don't want to drive off cliffs. We need it to say, oh, did you check the map? Right. But yet at the same time, we have to take control and we have to keep moving ourselves forward. And then the imposter syndrome starts peaking up, right? But you can't compare. Everybody's at a different stage. I've been doing this 23 years. So somebody who's only been doing it 1 or 2 years, they can't compare, right? Even if they're making more money than me, and they could be, but they can't compare to where they're at with their messaging, to where they're at with their confidence with it, or doing any of those things. That's where, we need to be on our own journey. We have to define our own success and what that looks like. Because the person who may have been doing this shorter and feel less confident in what they're doing, they could be making millions, but yet it's all going to go away because they don't have any plan or strategy or consistency to do that, is because you don't want to be a flash in the pan. You need to have longevity, and you need to grow with it. And we can't compare ourselves. We're all on our own journey.
Now, what about, I know we talked about building our own internal production team. What about like hiring external production team? Like, when are you ready for that? And is that a viable option?
Absolutely. Well, it's how I make my living as a video production company. I work with cities, I work with Fortune 500 companies, I work with small, medium, and, multi big, you know, national, international companies. So, you know, it's never too early and it's never too late to start with a production company. I'm going to go back to, it depends on who you're trying to target, right? You don't need a production company to do your social media video daily consistency. You need the plan for that, right? That's where you come to me for the messaging and the plan and the layout, and we can produce some content for you. I bring people in on a budget to say, okay, let's do this in like 4 hours. We can do a month to 2 months worth of content. Or, if you're trying to B2B, if you are a business and you're talking to other businesses, you're probably going to need a production company a lot faster, because businesses who talk to other businesses need to have a higher, more polished, professional look than a business to a consumer. Because business to consumer, we need to really attach to the heart and authenticity, and nobody's really cares about what the lighting. I mean, it matters in some sense, but they're not judging you because of it. They're judging you on your message there. But when you move up and you're talking business to business, a business that's going to do business with another business, you need authority, you need credibility, you need professionalism, you need that polished look. So you have to have all of those things in place, because if you're not able to be in a partnership at their level, which is showing that this is what they expect, we all then start having expectations, then that's when you need a professional company. If your clients have huge expectations of you, you need professional video all the way around.
I love it. I love it. And what's the best way to find a production company? Do they need to be in your local area? Can it be someone that's in a different city? What's the best way to even find one? Because I think for a lot of our audience, we've kind of learned at this level that we're not meant to do everything. And so sometimes bringing in the right team gets us there faster. So when you're looking for that production company partner, is that someone that's local? Is that someone that can be international? What's the best way to find that one that fits who you are?
Well, shop local always. That's always my mentality is, go to your chamber. It would be, especially, for companies, if, we're talking about business to business and, you're in that high 7, 8 figure world, you need to be go to your chamber and find a production company that is local and shop local and find somebody of the caliber that you're looking for. And that's going to be based on their authority and their credibility and the tools that they have in place that you're going to look for. And, are they backed up by other things and who's working for them? Or who are they working with? And that's a great place to look is in your own backyard. Then it depends on who you are again. I mean, if somebody can shoot video for you locally, but you have an editor that you have come to trust and they're remote or a VA, send them the footage. Your editor does not need to be local. If you just need to hire an editor, you can get them the footage. And there's lots of ways to get good camera footage, again, depending on the level that you're at. If you're a business and you're talking to other businesses, call me, JDS Video and Media Productions, or, go to your chamber, find a local professional corporate video marketer to help you. But if you're not quite there and you can't afford, a $5,000, promo video or training video, and you're not kind of at that level to hire a production company, then, start with the schools. There are students that you can hire for less that will do really good camera work and then hire a good editor remotely. So you can break it up in different ways. There are lots of tools and ways to go about it.
I love it. I love it. Now, Diane, one of the questions that we love to ask our guests is if you could offer any advice, it can be personal, it can be business, what would that advice be?
Well, I'm going to take it back to how we started this conversation, which it's all about the arts. And the arts will teach you everything that you need to know to be a business leader, to be able to step outside your comfort zone and be visible so you can be seen and heard and get your brand heard. It'll teach you storytelling so that you can connect your messaging to it. It's going to allow you to learn. It's going to educate you. It's going to help you market. It's going to give you the confidence that you need. So my one piece of advice is get creative. It doesn't mean picking up a paintbrush or go get yourself in a play. Although if you need something done, hire a theater kid. I will tell you that. But it means getting creative, and creativity comes in so many forms. So connect with the arts. It's a huge economic driver. It builds communities. It builds relationships. It entertains. The arts are everything that you need in life to be able to funnel into every other industry and every other life impactful thing that we need.
I love it. I love it. And Diana, what's the best way to contact you to learn more, to work with you?
Well, you can find me all over social media at Diane Strand, hashtag JDS family for all the JDS businesses and festivals from DigiFest, our TV show, Spirit of Innovation, Arts Across America. I always say the best place to start is jdsstudio.live, and that's the website umbrella that takes you to everything else.
I love it. And what I'm going to do for you guys that are driving right now is I'm going to actually put Diane's contact information in our show notes so that you'll be able to click on her page, learn more about her companies, and follow her and work with her. Thank you, Diane, so much for joining us today and sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me, Suzanne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I want you to have your most profitable year ever. Yes, no matter what's going on in the economy, no matter what's going on in the world, you can have your best year ever. And I want to show you how. Join me in our private Facebook group where I will be hosting our free, yes, I said free, Profit First Masterclass. In Facebook, please join the Profit First Masterclass with Susanne Mariga. I look forward to seeing you there.